Question 1 of my evaluation is, in what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products?
The first thing I'll be talking about is the narrative. Our music videos offer narrative and performance style. This is conventional of the funk genre and James Brown music videos.
This style was deemed successful by our audience feedback, with a majority correctly identifying the genre of music. Our music video follows a realist narrative structure, as we are filming real-life footage of America. Within our production, the song Living in America is an upbeat funk song.
Conventionally, funk music is all about having swagger and living a life that will be envied and showing it to the world. In our music video, majority of our audience feedback believe we portrayed our narrative effectively, showing what life is like in America, and we did follow the conventions that all our scenes did look very much like a lifestyle that could be admired.
We did, however, challenge the Laura Mulvey's male gaze theory, as our music video did not have female characters, which conventionally funk music videos does have women that are a visual pleasure to the male audience. This is why I believe our audience feedback did state that our age range was wider than we initially expected, of 16 to 35.
As the older generation does not necessarily want to see young ladies flaunt themselves, I believe although I want to show America, looking at all different aspects of America, I suppose we could say that the footage is my preferred reading and even my ideology, as my scenes are very glamorous and much of the filming was done in tourist destinations.
With the costumes of the main character and the performance being very smart and looking cool with sunglasses on. This conforms to Stuart Hall's reception theory, that members adopt one of the three positions. However, I do feel that some would see a oppositional reading and reject my dominant reading.
As many normal working class Americans do not visit South Beach, Miami, as this area is known for being a millionaire's playground and a hangout for the famous. There will also be some who have a negotiated reading and accept that some live the high life, but feel that I haven't touched upon many social issues. This wasn't necessarily my intentions. I did want to highlight many social problems, but challenging the conventions didn't seem appropriate for the upbeat funk genre.
Funk genre music videos conventionally have a relationship between the lyrics and the visuals. An example of this in my production is the lyrics Smokestack. I used a shot of an American diner. My music video does conform to Andrew Goodwin's theory, as there is also a relationship between the music and visuals, as the music is upbeat and happy, and visually my scenes are all of positive shots. Nothing negative has been shot.
In terms of our character, we aim to conform to the stereotype of James Brown and conform to the funk genre. We intend to achieve this by costume, but overall the charisma and stage presence. In our audience feedback, we had mixed responses. Some believe we had achieved this, but some did state the overall presence of the main character was not as entertaining as James Brown.
This was because the choreography was not as entertaining and the moves were not as groovy or typical of the funk style genre. Music videos are a marketing device for the artists to promote themselves on. I feel we could have effectively improved the main character by being more confident. Had we fully achieved this, I believe we would have achieved Antonio Gramsci's theory of hegemony, that the wealthy, powerful elite maintain control over the lower class. We portrayed a good life using our locations, which many of us in today's society is taught to want new things, and many are constantly seeking a better life.
When we chose our main character, we did conform to the stereotypical race of funk genre music. Initially we chose to challenge this, however this did not work effectively. James Brown was very much seen as a hero and was known for being a social activist, encouraging the black community to get an education and condemn violence. He was a believer in non-violent protest and wrote and recorded Say It Loud, I'm Black and Proud, a protest anthem that has unified and inspired generations. Because our main character Junior is a black male and portrays the role of James Brown, he could be seen as a hero, which we can link to Vladimir Prop's theory that within a narrative there are 8 main character types: the hero, villain, donor, dispatcher, false hero and helper, although our production only includes 1 character type and the full extent of the theory can't be applied as we don't have the remaining 7 character types in our production.
The costume worn was typical of the funk genre. Maybe not as colourful and elaborate as some of the outfits in the 1980s funk genre, but we did follow the conventions of the genre. Junior (brackets James Brown) did look smart dressed in a suit, white shirt and a tie, and the outfit did look sophisticated and stereotypical. You would presume that the character has wealth. All of which are typical conventions of the funk genre. In our audience feedback, we received mixed responses over whether we conform to the stereotypes of James Brown. I believe a big reason on why some of our audience members believed we did conform to the stereotypes of James Brown was because the costumes resembled him. Had we have dressed our characters in jeans and a top, it would be harder for the audience to recognise the role of the character. James Brown had a particular persona, which we did try to imitate through costume, props and dancing.
This allows the audience to identify with, which is Richard Dye's theory, and that stars represent and embody ideologies. With the funk genre, it's all about showing the high life and wealth, which I do believe was achieved through props and costumes.
The props that we used in our production was US dollars, sunglasses, a microphone and Donald Trump's Make America Great Again hat. The use of these props were used to be conventional of the funk genre and give a good representation of the United States. The sunglasses worn by our character Junior was consistent in all of our productions. The reason why we chose this prop was so the character looks stylish and is a status symbol. Our audience feedback suggested that props such as the sunglasses communicates to the genre of music to the audience. By using props and costumes in our product, we are conforming to the funk genre conventions. Across our productions, we used Donald Trump's Make America Great Again, which was used during the run up of the 2016 US election. The hat was used to represent the government of the United States of America during the recording of this music video.
In my production, I've used a variety of locations to portray America to the audience. These include the Florida Keys, the Virgin Atlantic Flight, Bayside Marketplace, Sunny Isles Beach, South Beach, Miami Beach, Everglades Safari Park, Pura Vida Bistro, AZ Hotel, Flanagan Seafood Bar and Grill, Bahia Honda State Park, 7 Mile Bridge, Dania Beach and Queensbury Academy, which was used for the green screen scenes. These locations were chosen because they gave a good representation of some of the United States and are places that may be desired by the audience. As they are places desired by the audience, I am effectively promoting America and may cause some interest for the viewers.
This may be linked to the Bloomer and Katz use and gratification theory at the audience, as the audience are using this particular media product for surveillance. Using these locations, maybe I've created my own ideology of how I want America to be portrayed, more as a tourist as opposed to a resident. I do feel that I have given my preferred reading as a producer because the locations can be seen as being picturesque and glamorous. If we didn't visit America to film real life footage, the music video to the track Living in America would not be possible, because I can't film footage in the UK, as I would be given a false representation of America to the audience, as life in the UK and the USA are completely different. In our production, the camera work was used effectively to portray the tone of the narrative to our audience. In our production, we used a variety of shots, including mid-shot, close-up, over-the-shoulder shot, low camera angle, high camera angle. The close-up shot was conventional within the funk genre. An example of this is when it was Bruno Mars' 24 UK Magic music video, where we see a lot of zooming in and close-ups shots of his face. However, I didn't conform to this convention in my own production. The reason for this was because I used a tripod to film my green screen scenes, and I didn't want to have any shakiness in my production, as this would have a problem I have experienced before in my AS production. Editing is referred to as the technical part of the post-production process, selecting shots and combining them into a media product. Colour correction was used to make the scenes in my music video look bright and glamorous, so it portrayed the America in a positive way. The cut transitions were most used in my production and is most conventional editing transition across the genres. To conclude, our production used, developed and challenged conventions within our funk genre music video in a variety of ways. It's important that I conformed to some conventions of the funk genre because this allows the audience to recognise the genre of music. We conform to the conventions of funk by conforming to the race of James Brown, using shots from America and costumes were recognisable to the audience, and we used props that resembled America. However, I think the area where we challenged the conventions was the shots, as mentioned before. It's stereotypical of the funk genre to have shots zooming in on the characters, which is something I could have done, and our character doesn't have that upbeat vibe in comparison to James Brown, which was a major downfall.